we're going to make Graham's dinner rolls. And to do that, first of all, we dissolve 1 package of yeast in a little bit of warm water. You want your water between 110 and 120, and I check that with the thermometer, or it's like a baby bottle temperature. Then you take a cup and 3/4 of whole milk, pour it in a saucepan, along with 2 tablespoons of sugar and 2 teaspoons of salt, and 3 tablespoons of salted butter. Then you want to heat this up just enough to melt the butter. So we'll wait a bit, and when we get the butter melted, I'll show you the next step. Okay, after your butter's melted, I go ahead, I pour it into the bowl for my stand mixer because I'm going to use the kneading thing to knead it later. So I have 3 cups of flour. This is going to be kind of, I call it my flour surrey, but we're going to and we add our activated yeast, which hopefully is bubbling. You want to make sure it bubbles to make sure your yeast is alive where you put it in. And I put that in, and then at this point I just stir everything together until all the flour is incorporated. Scraping down as I can. You can see you have a real loose batter at this point, so there's no need to get out your mixer to do this. Just want to make sure it's all kind of cohesive with a spoon. You see, it's a real loose batter right now. We're going to add more flour to it. This is just, we're going to let this rise for an hour or 2 until it's like twice the volume. I have a new oven with a bread proofing setting of 100 degrees, but in the past I put the dough on heating pads set on low, or any warm place in your house will do. I'm going to cover this. You can cover it with saran. I just cover it with a clean dish towel and put it in my oven and let's let it sit there for an hour or 2, and it will double, and then we will go on to the next step. Okay, it's been an hour and a half. Let's check and see how our dough runs. Oh my gosh, it looks like it's done pretty good. Now I'm going to use the mixer to knead it. But we need to add some flour to our slurry. And you want to add about 3 cups of flour. You don't have to really measure it very carefully. I usually put in about 2 1/2. And then, because it's easier to add flour, you can't take it out. And then see how it does. So now we want to mix it real slowly at first because you want flour all over you. Just let it go with our dough hook. And if it's too sticky, you'll want to add some more flour. Now it's starting to come together into a dough. I'm going to check and see. It's kind of sticky. I'm going to add a little bit more flour to it. Now, if you don't have a stand mixer, you can do this you want to knead it by hand. But this certainly makes it a lot easier. Yeah, I'm going to check it again. I think it's still a little sticky. I want to do this for about 5 minutes. Okay. You want to take the dough off of the dough hook, and then I bring it over to my board here. You can do this on a clean kitchen counter. Kind of flour your then I knead it a few times by hand. It just makes me feel, I guess and it should be warm and be smooth. This looks like this is going to be a good dough. I was a little worried about it. I think it's going to be just fine. It's a very forgiving dough. I just like to do this because then I feel like I'm more of a part of the dough, I guess. Anyway, okay, and once it feels nice and smooth like this, you make it into a nice ball. And then I have a clean bowl, and I'm going to spray it with some cooking spray. You can, if you don't have any cooking spray, you can just lightly oil the bowl and then turn it over in the bowl until it all is nice and I give it a little spritz. Make sure you get all nice and smooth. Now it's going to go back into the warm oven for its second rise here. I'm going to cover it again with my clean towel and put it in for an hour or so until it doubles. About 30-45 minutes since the first rise, and then we added the flour, and we're going to get it out and see what happened. Oh wow, look at it, it's like magic. Now we're going to form it into rolls. I melted a half a stick of butter that I'm going to dip the dough in before I form it into rolls. So first of all, I'm going to divide it in half, and you can do this with a knife. I like to use my bench scraper for this because it works really well. This will make it go down, but remember we're going to shape it into rolls, and then we are going to put it back into rise before we bake them. So, okay, now we'll recover this and just set it aside, and we are going to make this part into rolls. So first of all, I shape it into a flat disc, roughly the size of my pan. I think my grandmother used to dip each individual roll into the melted butter, but I don't do that. I just dip the disc that I'm going to make into rolls into butter. So dip it. And this is kind of a messy job, but just stick with me. So we're going to put the nice looking side down, because that's the side that will be up in our rolls. Right, you can either roll this with a rolling pin. I just kind of push it out with my hands into a circle roughly 12 inches in diameter. It's rough, and all your rolls kind of look different, but they're homemade after all. If they look the same, they wouldn't be homemade. So, okay, now I'm going to start cutting this into, I roll them up in crescent shapes, and I like to make each roll about an inch down at the wide end. And you can do this with a knife, but I again like to use my dough thing, and then I just start rolling and just roll them up, and then I put them on my cookie sheet. And I use 3 cookie sheets because this makes about 3 dozen rolls. So just keep doing this, shaping, cutting, and rolling, and putting them on the cookie sheet. Now we finished 1 cookie sheet of rolls. There's a dozen rolls on here, and I'm going to cover it and then put them back in the warm oven to rise again. Also, you can put them on a cookie sheet or any other warm place that you have. So there it goes. Now I'm going to do 2 more cookie sheets full. Hi, it's been about an hour, and let's check and see how the rolls are doing. See if they're ready. Oh my gosh, look at them. Okay, we're going to keep them covered, and then I'm going to get the oven heated up to 425 and put them in to par bake them. Okay, here's our sheet of rolls ready to go in the oven. I have it at 425, and we're going to bake them for about 7 minutes, just until they start to brown. And then I'm going to put them in the freezer and freeze them. So here we go. Okay, now I'll set the timer. Okay, let's check on the rolls. Ooh, they're a little browner than I like to get them, but they're pretty much perfect. See, we want them just when they're starting to turn brown, and then we're going to put them in and freeze them individually. And then when we take them out frozen, we'll just bake them for another 10 minutes at 425, and they'll be perfect. They don't stick. And then we're going to let them cool. Okay, I've got 2 more cookie sheets to go. I've had the rolls in the oven for about 7 minutes at 425, excuse me. And look at them. So we're going to enjoy them with our Easter dinner.